What's up, YouTube? Today we're putting Bilstein DRM shocks on my C5 Corvette. Let's do it. Oh yeah. So the first thing I've done here is I lift the car, and then because it's a 4-post jack, I drop the car down onto jacks, and that effectively gets me the car up in the air. So what I've done here is create sort of a little platform for my jack to be able to put upward pressure on the suspension system for removal and reinstallation of the shock. Put a couple lug nuts on the rotor to keep all the brake components secure, and then I can jack up on that rotor and still have enough room to reach the nuts on the bolts that secure the bottom of the shock to the lower A-arm. So now the lower shock mount bolts have been removed. You see how it's hanging freely. Those are 13mm on top and on bottom. Now we're going to go after the top mount up here. So you'll see you can use a 1/4-inch wrench to kind of hold the shock stud still while you put a 15mm on the nut. So I'm not going to be able to really show this on camera, so be right back. So the first real challenge I ran into was getting the actual shock out, which I kind of anticipated, but what's going to work for me is I just zip these upper A-arm mounts off, or bolts off. I'm holding the assembly with my knee so that I don't put too much stress on my cable here, or brake hose line. That way I was able to get a ton of space here. I kind of just rotated this that way until it got into this hole here, and it came right out. Easy peasy. I wanted to take a moment to compare how the compression and rebound was for the two of them. Honestly, the stock one feels stiffer to me and rebounds quicker versus the Rippie one. Maybe the compression's harder. So I'll try to push them down equally. And then there's a race. So clearly the stock one actually rebounds faster. I don't know if that's by design with Rippie's Bilsteins or not. One thing's for sure is I know these shocks are good, so I'm just going to keep them in case I don't like the DRMs for some reason. Unfortunately, I did have to come up under the hood. 2 10mm nuts to get this off. Sorry, I'm doing this. And then I can get my Allen wrench in there to hold this while I put the proper torque on the upper mount. There we have it. Upper A-arm bolts torqued to 48 foot-pounds. Tightened up the lower mount bolts. My understanding of the torque for the upper one is you want the bushing to bulge just a little past the washers there, which seems to be working okay. The bushings were a little squished when I got them, so we're just working with what we got. And yeah, guess I'll put the wheel back on, and I'm gonna do the front, the second front, and then we'll move on to the rear together. Wow! I just wanted to add a quick note for the driver's side. I was able to reach in through here. Sorry, filming upside down. There. With to remove the original one, the original bolt, using an adjustable wrench. I don't like to use this one because you can see the tool's in kind of bad shape. but it served the purpose. I was able to just kind of hook it right here and hold it, and then with my other arm reach around with a ratcheting box hand wrench and zip that guy off real quick. And as for installation on this one, I ended up not using the Allen wrench because for some reason it was just tight enough, and I was able to get the torque pretty good on the top half. For the rear, got the wheel off obviously, and I'm gonna break loose the lower mount bolt, which I'm using a 15/16 wrench and socket for. And a breaker bar, 1/2 inch. Once I've kind of broken it loose, I've been able to get impact on it. Actually, you know what? I'm going to use an extension. Get in there a little better. And that's off. For the upper mount bolts, 13mm, I've found that no extension works best for the outboard one. And the extension works well for the inboard one. And for me, these actually, once you get them broken loose, you can just unscrew them with your hands. Bolts hanging up there, and we got it off. The angle I use to pull them out, compress. Oop! I gotta put the bolt out. Lower bolt. Alright, obviously now that that's out, you can kind of pull it outboard until the ears around the shock come closer to the brake rotor. I twisted it towards the rear or clockwise, and then there's like a hole that can fall out right there, and it's out. Bilstein. Gonna get the upper mount through there. Use that hole I kind of mentioned. Wiggle around. Doesn't really need to be forced. You just have to find the right sort of orientation. I'm compressing it a little bit just to get it up over the lower mount there, and I'm going to get that bolt started. I'm just so it holds it in place, and then start one of the bolts. Oops. With the poly bushings, it's a little harder to get it started because it doesn't have much flex. I'll try to show you what I mean. See what I mean? How the upper mount has a little less flex, so it's hard to bend it into the position where it mounts with the suspension at full length here because the car's up in the air. Alright, off camera I just torqued the upper mount bolts to 22 foot-pounds, and I'm going to torque the lower bolt to 107 foot-pounds for somebody on Corvette forum. It's funny to see the rubber bushing flex so much. Might be worth getting that lower mount bushing in the future. And that is it for changing the shocks on a C5 Corvette. Now I'm going to put the wheel back on, torque all my wheels, pull the car out, and go get some first impressions.